Eagle Double G.
What's up, YouTube? This is your friendly neighborhood movie nerd. I'm back to give you guys everything that is going on in the world of movies. I am finally back. The summer is here, and I am back to doing summer reviews. This actually, I believe, marks the 1-year anniversary since I started officially doing YouTube videos. So now, before I start, let me first just say this. In this era of endless sequels that we live in, it is so hard, I repeat, so hard for all of them to be good, let alone great. The idea of a sequel itself is something that was solely invented for the purpose of making money. There's nothing artistic to it. The idea of sequels exists solely because somebody wanted to take an idea that somebody else loved and exploit it for the purpose of making his or herself wealthier. So keeping all of that in mind, the fact that so many sequels exist that not only manage to continue the story and make it feel fresh and not forced is truly a miracle. The fact that we can count on Empire Strikes Back, Judgment Day, Godfather 2, Aliens, The Road Warrior, and The Dark Knight as some of the best films ever made is amazing. That is why I hate the idea that sequels need to go away, because it is absolutely possible to make an incredible sequel that manages to take a spectacular premise and advance it to new heights. It's just that with the oversaturation of sequels, reboots, remakes, and God only knows what other terms there are for continuations that are made solely for monetary purposes today, it has become increasingly harder and harder to discern which sequels are actually worth something from all of the garbage. Now that my sequel rant is out of the way, let's get to the review. So here is my official review for the first movie to kick off the summer, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
You do is yell at each other. You are not friends.
No, we're family. Except maybe her.
Guardians 2, which picks up a couple of months after the events of the first film, sees our lovable band of misfits back on the big screen, comprised of Peter Quill, played by Chris Pratt, Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana, Drax, played by Dave Bautista, Rocket Raccoon, played by Bradley Cooper, and Baby Groot, played by Vin Diesel. They are going on a brand new adventure this time. It's taking them to brand new worlds, and they finally discover one of the biggest loose ends from the end of the first one, the identity of Peter's father, who is revealed to be none other than Ego the Living Planet, played by Snake Plissken himself, Kurt Russell. Also back for the ride are Yondu Udantu, the lovable Ravager leader, played by Michael Rooker, as well as Gamora's psychopathic sister and fellow Thanos assassin, Nebula, played by Karen Gillan. You've also got some new players as well, including Mantis, played by Pom Klementieff, Aisha, played by Elizabeth Debicki, and Taserface, played by Chris Sullivan, as well as some other major players who have some very fun little cameos. Now, as for my actual thoughts on the film, I did enjoy it quite a lot, actually. Like, a lot. Do not get me wrong. James Gunn, he had a very specific style with that first film that really helped make it truly something special, and he certainly does carry that style over. This universe, it is truly something special. Like, the color palette alone in this film is off the charts gorgeous. James Gunn does not slack even a little bit. He truly makes you feel like you are in brand new worlds. I think that in some of the interviews he even said that in terms of shooting, he used a camera that was specifically designed to expose as much color as possibly could, and it does show, and it makes the final product look spectacular. In terms of performances, everybody that was in the last film does just as great a job this time. Pratt is still hysterical. Gamora, Saldana is still really straight-laced. Batista is still great. Bradley Cooper is still amazing and cracking one-liners as Rocket. Everybody in this film delivers 100% the same as they did in the last one. I even think I like Karen Gillan a little bit more in this one, however. What I really appreciated the most about the characters in this film, however, is that James Gunn did in this film, what he was able to do is he actually was able to give us more to enjoy about these characters. So he could have easily fallen into the trap that most directors do, which is they really just rely on our love of these great characters to sell a really lazy, rehashed story, but he really didn't. We find out a little bit more about each and every one of these characters, and it makes me appreciate them even more than I did in the first one. Now, a great example of this, taking characters that we know and love and really expanding them, giving more, would be Michael Rooker's character, Yondu, in this one. In the first film, you really didn't know that much about him, and it really is Rooker's performance that keeps you invested in him throughout the film. But in this one, you find out a lot more about his backstory, and Gunn does such a great job managing to make you sympathize for him, helping you to understand his personal connection to Quill, why he's willing to choose Quill over the Ravagers every single time, as well as not losing track of any of the character traits that made Yondu fantastic in the first place. This is where Gunn excels as a writer, and it really is the high point of these films, just seeing how fully fleshed out and three-dimensional these characters can truly be. Unfortunately, there still were quite a few flaws in this movie. Like I said above, it is so hard for a sequel to hit that perfect line of both surpassing the first film and bringing something new and original to the table, while at the same time not losing track of what made the film great to begin with, which is why I really don't want to shit on this film too much, because character-wise, like I said, this film knocked it out of the park. Plot-wise, however, not so much, because you see, the film really doesn't have a plot. And what I mean by that is that, okay, so they're bouncing around from situation to situation to situation, and that's fine, but what is the actual storyline? What is it that they're actually doing? It's like, okay, you could make an argument that they're trying to find out who Quill's father is, except they're not. That's not how the film starts. In fact, if anything, the only reason why they find out about who Quill's father is because he reveals himself to them. So that really doesn't contribute to the story at all. And I'm not saying that the first one had a fantastic story of any kind, but at least it had a story. You had the Infinity Stone, you had Ronan trying to get it, and you had them trying to sell it, and at the same time coming together as a unit and bonding and having to save the galaxy from Ronan. Like I said, not the best original story, but at least it had something. Also, as you guys know, this film has this very massive disadvantage, and it really is becoming a disadvantage of being stuck in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which really, despite all that it has achieved, is really starting to become a victim of its own success. And of these many problems that stand out, you guys know all the problems with this series: the predictability of the plot, the lack of stakes, the generic third act, the no sense of the franchise ending anytime soon. All that aside, the one thing that people always complain about is the villains. Marvel has no good villains. All the Marvel villains suck, which is kind of true when you're really a TV series where each one of your villains is just a one-off until you get to the season finale. And of course, everybody says, oh, Loki's the one good Marvel villain. I'm one of the few people that disagrees, because I both love James Spader's Ultron and Daniel Bruhl's Baron Zemo. I love both of those villains. Now, here's what I'm going to say about the villain in this movie, which, it's kind of a spoiler, it's not really, but this is really the only spoiler, and that is Kurt Russell's Ego the Living Planet, Peter Quill's dad, is the bad guy in the movie. It's kind of obvious. I mean, there's a couple different things, like with Elizabeth Debicki's Aisha and Chris Sullivan's Taserface, like they're sort of there, but the main big bad is Ego the Living Planet. And for the most part, Kurt Russell gives a great performance. I mean, it's Kurt Russell. You really can't go wrong with him. The problem is that Disney, and I'm actually going to blame this on Disney, not necessarily Marvel, is the Disney overlords, what I've been noticing in the past couple of their films, between their animated films and their live action remakes, is they're falling into this trap of they're not revealing who the villain is until the last minute, but by the time you figure out who the villain is, it's one of the good guys that you've already gotten to know to one point as a good guy. So you've gotten to know this character for who they are, so then when the twist comes that they're actually a villain, it just throws you for the loop, and it kind of takes the film and twists it into something that it's not. Two of the examples that I can think of off the top of my head are Frozen and Zootopia, and this one kind of follows that suit, because like I said, Ego starts off, he's kind of charming, he's Kurt Russell, there's sort of something going on you can see, but for the most part he seems like a really cool dude. So then when the twist comes and he becomes generic Marvel supervillain number, I don't even know what number we're on, it's so unexpected. And it really kind of takes away from the film. So like I said, on the one half, you do have a great Kurt Russell performance, and for the first half of this movie, he is a really cool character until they twist it and turn him into this evil megalomaniac bad guy who wants to take over the universe again, just like the last 15 we've gotten. So, hey, Marvel sort of learned, because one half of their bad guy, they actually gave him some character, which is something that they just didn't even bother to do with some of their last villains, so a little bit of a step up, maybe? So in conclusion, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is certainly one hell of a roller coaster ride, but it does unfortunately suffer from A, being a sequel, and B, not really having any story to follow. And while this doesn't derail the film, it certainly doesn't help it. In the end, it turns out to be an amazing character piece. Everything you loved about the characters from the first film translates to this film and does it even better. And it does have some spectacular visuals, but it just cannot match the pure shock and raw delight that the first film was able to achieve so well. I'm only giving this film 7 out of 10 stars. Oh yeah, and Sylvester Stallone's in this movie. Almost forgot. Because, he was on all the star billing, and he's barely in it. I don't even know if you could count it as setup for future movies, because I don't know what purpose he serves. Alright, that is it. That is my official review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What did you guys think? Whatever you thought, leave those thoughts in the comments below. Like I said, this is technically my 1-year anniversary, so just let me know if you think I should do any other things to really change up my content and make it as good as it could possibly be. Make sure you also click that like button and the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Movie Nerd Review. Also, head on over to the site movienerdreviews.com. That is it. I will see you guys next time.